Hi everyone, Suzi Petrozzi here, wellness psychologist and women's empowerment coach. And I wanted to continue a conversation from one of my last videos on forgiveness. In the last video, I talked about how to close the year off powerfully so you can embrace 2018 with more energy and ease. And I realized that there's one component in that process in the last video that I did, that if it's not really dealt with properly, unpacked, there's a lot of things that we close ourselves off to, and that's forgiveness. So what I wanted to do in this brief video, hopefully it will be brief, is just unpack forgiveness a little bit. In other words, how do you know if you need to forgive, and how do you actually start the process of forgiveness? There's no particular steps to it, because forgiveness is a process, especially depending on what kind of things you have to forgive. So the most important thing that I want to, even before all of that, is for you to know why it's important to forgive. Interestingly, there's not a whole lot of research, even content on forgiveness, which kind of surprised me. There are a few blogs and some research, but not to the degree that I thought it would be. So forgiveness is one of those things that if you hold on to something that's happened, hurt that's that you experienced, what you hold on to is a part of you that's closed off to being able to open up to so many more possibilities. So in other words, you keep doors closed to what can happen in your life, to the amazing stuff that can, enter your life. So, but also a lot of research has shown that people who haven't forgiven, their mental health is worse, their physical health is worse. So all of those indicators are shown to be affected if we are holding on to something that's happened to us and we haven't forgiven that. But how do you know if you need to forgive? Usually, here are a few indicators. You're holding on to resentment, and you find yourself maybe, you go off the handle easily on maybe certain topics, and it can, depending on what's happened to you, you will know what that is. So there's resentment, maybe there's blame, you find yourself blaming someone. Now remember, it doesn't always have to be a third person. This can be even you. Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself for something. So, and you might be really critical of yourself, critical of others. So there's resentment, blame, criticism, undeniable anger, and so on and so on. One of the ways to really know this is create some space, quiet space, and really be honest and courageous enough to ask yourself the question, who do I need to forgive? And just close your eyes, center yourself, dive deep into your center, into that quietness, into your wisdom, and ask yourself. And I did this a few weeks ago when I talked about the process. And one of the things that happened to me is that the answer was clear. It was a resounding yourself, that I needed to forgive myself. And so that may be the case for you if you choose to do this process, but please don't put that on the back burner. Forgiveness can be put on the back burner because, it's another emotion that we need to confront. But hey, if it's an emotion that we need to confront so that we can clear the way for goodness to come into our lives, for freedom, for that peace, then it's well worth taking the time to do that. How do you do it? So create that space, ask yourself the question, who do I need to forgive? Ask yourself the question, what do I need to forgive them for? What is it? Get back to that. Identify emotions that you feel as a result of not forgiving them, as a result of hurt that's been caused, that has been caused, that you've experienced. What is it? Where do you feel it in your body? Identify it. And then here's one thing that I recommend you do then. So after you've done all that, is write a letter of forgiveness. Now, this is not one that you send to them. This is one that you just have, that you write out exactly what hurt you, how you perceive that person hurt you, and also write really how you feel now, what's happened to you as a result of that. But I also encourage you to try and think about, well, why do you think they did that? Try and take that third person perspective to think about why did they do that. And if this is you, in the case that this is you, that you are forgiving yourself, just think about, you know, thinking back, stepping back in time. Why do you think that you did that or didn't do that? An example may be, I don't know, you yelled at the kids, or, you know, you said no to something around family matter, or you were selfish around something. Ask yourself why you did that, just so you can understand yourself from that perspective. Maybe you were doing the best that you could do at that time, okay? But do it, sincerely do it. Research is, there's a lot of research that suggests the power of writing this letter and the healing that can happen as a result of, you know, forgiving yourself or somebody else through this process of writing. Now remember, it may not be a once and a for all process. It may be, depending on what's happened, something you do over time. So you can revisit that, you can continue to have that kind of communication with yourself or the other person through this forgiveness writing. So do it a few times. Again, it's a process. The most important thing is that you make a decision that you want to forgive someone for something. If you don't, okay, you know, accept that that's where it is, and that there may be repercussions as a result of that. Because remember, whatever we keep a closed door on, it means that we also keep a door closed outside in our day-to-day life and are not able to allow opportunities to come in as a result of that. So the more quickly we can forgive someone, or the more open we are forgiving, the more we can allow into our life by way of, you know, feeling at peace, feeling free with ourselves, but even knowing ourselves on a whole new level. That's forgiveness. Through forgiveness comes wisdom. So I hope that was helpful. Remember, it's as easy as the start of the forgiveness process is as easy as making that decision, going inwards and asking yourself, who do I need to forgive? What do I need to forgive them for? And getting to that process of writing a forgiveness letter. I encourage you to do that before the end of the year, almost as a way of, again, another way of, you know, putting closure to something and deciding that, you know what, my intention for next year is different, and I want to put this behind me in the sense that I've learned from this and I choose to grow from this. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. Feel free to share the video with others that you think may benefit from that. Okay, until the next video, enjoy and you know, enjoy this season, this merry season that's coming, and make sure that you have lots of time for rest, relaxation, and looking after yourself. All right, I'll speak to you soon, everyone. Bye.